with Milo. Hi, welcome.
Hey, Kyle. How are Jackie? How you going?
Yeah, good. What do you want to say, buddy?
I just want to say that this Milo Willow bloke is off his head. He doesn't know not one thing about Islam, and he wants to sit there and say all that crap. Mate, you got enough. Bro, you don't know what you're talking about. How is the majority of Muslims, all Muslims, like that? No, we are not. Islam is about peace. It's about love. You're just full of shit, mate.
I have heard the same thing. I have a lot of...
Wait.
Go ahead,
bro.
sir.
How you're saying that men can sleep with men or rape little 9-year-olds? Where did you get that? Were you drunk and dancing with the fairies? Where does it say in the Quran that can happen? Where does it say in Islam that can happen? You tell me. Where does that?
Well, Muhammad did it.
No, he didn't. How do you know? Were you back in them days? How were you back there? No, we did not.
How old was Aisha when he married her?
You are nothing but a sheep.
How old was Aisha when Muhammad married her?
You are nothing but a sheep trying to brainwash all this. You are a disgrace to society. That's what you are. You're nothing but a sheep, mate. You're a brainwashed sheep. You don't know what you're talking about. You got nothing, mate. You got nothing. You find that now. Open the Quran. You find me where it says we can do that. You find me where it says that we are allowed to kill for no reason, or we follow the... Bro, you don't know what you're talking about. Get your facts right before you open your mouth, you little peasant.
Now, I'd have to agree with I would have to agree with Eamon. We're on.
He wasn't listening to your thing about tempers, was he?
But no,
That's true.
he didn't swear, which is I'm thankful for. But he's right. In the Quran, it is a peaceful religion, and the ones that are extreme
it isn't.
Are the ones to blame for the extremism.
No, see, there's a principle of abrogation, which is an Islamic, Quranic principle of scholarship, which means that because the Quran is big and self-contradictory, like all long, complicated books, Quranic scholars have come up with a way to reconcile some of the internal contradictions. Because it's supposed to be the final, unalterable, and perfect word of God. If there's something in it that contradicts something else, there must be a reason for that. So what Quranic scholars have come up with is abrogation. It means if you order the Quran according to the chronological order in which the verses were revealed to Muhammad, stuff that came later supersedes stuff that came earlier. Well, unfortunately, the abrogated verses, the verses that have been superseded, are the peace, love, and understanding ones, and the ones that were revealed to him later when he was a warlord are the kill the unbeliever, death to the whatever verses.
So there's two different versions. Is that what you're saying?
No. It's what Islamic scholars have come up with to account for the fact that in some places the Quran talks about peace and forgiveness and mercy, and those tend to be the bits that are plagiarized from the Bible. And elsewhere, other bits of the Quran are more like, kill the unbelievers and all the rest of it. And those bits, according to Islamic scholars, take precedence over the peaceful bits. So even in terms of its own book, of its own holy text, that's not really a correct reading according to Islamic scholars anyway. And of course, Muslims are encouraged to live according to the example laid down by the founder Muhammad, who of course had a wife of whatever is it, 9 years old, but he waited to have sex with until she was 12, I think. Good on him. Your caller is sadly misinformed, it seems, about his own religion.
Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Next. Hi, Julie.
This guy said that he was happy, but does he also know that he's stupid? You are out of control. Even what you said about the thing about on Twitter about the woman being fat and ugly, but who are you? Are you a Calvin Klein model? Who are you, but? Are you the bee's knees? What are you?
So you believe also in fat shaming? You think fat shaming works?
Oh, I do. I think it's a moral imperative. I mean, all the studies say it works. You read
this guy. Oh my God!
I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on that, because
so you see a lot of these sort of left-wing opinion pieces that say, body positivity, all the rest of it. Yeah. Even JCPenney, these massive retailers, are getting in on this thing about, we should be healthy at any size. Well, you're not healthy at any size. I think it's deeply immoral for corporate America and for these, for journalists to be encouraging women to live unhealthy lives. It doesn't make them happy.
Right?
Men too, of course, men too. But it doesn't make them happy. And men being, primarily visual animals this is just a reality of the sexes. It may not be fair.
What do you think of me?
Would you
about
fat
my
shame
weight?
Kyle?
I'm beautiful.
I look at you and I have butterflies in my eyes.
I understand.
I'm
a lot of people
intoxicated by your by your presence.
Could he do with losing weight, in your opinion?
Of course, but then so could I. I mean, I'm a little. I'm at wedding weight at the moment. But the point is that why lie to people and say that getting to an unhealthy size, which is likely to put them in an early grave, is that really the kind thing to do? No. I mean, superficially, it's nice to say, say, oh, you're fine, you're beautiful at any size, body positivity and all the rest of it. But it's a lie. It's a lie. I'm not suggesting that everybody should be an anorexic, stick insect like a twig who's going to get snapped during sex.
They're also unhealthy.
But of course they are. But having a normal, healthy lifestyle, that healthy eating and working out and all the rest of it should be what we're promoting. And culture doesn't promote that. With the plus size models, with the with these, and we're not talking, by the way. I know that fashions change. You look at the Venus de Milo, you look at classical statuary. The idea of what the perfect woman looks like has changed over time. Sometimes it's been curvy. Sometimes
they used to
it's been
paint all
skinnier.
these fatties and say they were beautiful.
But within limits. We're not talking about these vast ham planets that we now see celebrated by retailers like JCPenney. What they're doing is encouraging their own customers to die sooner, to get all kinds of obesity-related health complications.
How big are we talking? In your opinion, what's too big, though?
Well, look, the most important thing has obviously got to be your health, but,
Right. So when you see someone that you just think is clearly unhealthy, not just... Because plus size, I don't think, is unhealthy.
Well, it depends what you mean by plus size, but, if you see somebody who's obviously carrying around more weight than could possibly be good for them, culture at the moment says, you're fine, honey, you go for it, you're beautiful at any size, yes, queen. I'm sorry, I would prefer to go to that woman and say, why are you killing yourself? What are you doing? You're making really bad life choices. And we're perfectly happy to tell people when they're making bad life choices in other areas. Why, just because corporate America, which sells us big clothes and sells us fat, salt, sugar, triad-infused food and all the rest of it.
I'm getting hungry thinking about it.
You've got to remember where these messages come from. They come from corporate America, which has a vested interest in you getting fat. They come from, the health business, the vast apparatus of the medical industry in America, the fast food industry.
They want you to be fat.
All these big corporations want you to be fat and unhealthy because it makes them money.
Mel's on the phone.
I want people to be happy.
Mel's
and
desperate.
I want people to be happy and beautiful.
Desperate to get on and talk to you. Mel, you're on with Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oh, you obnoxious piece of cutter. Are you serious? Your whole interview, you have not stopped contradicting yourself. And you know what? People might not see it, and you sit there and you say, oh, I'm honest. People die. I'm honest on this. Listen, you might be honest, but honesty does not mean you're right. Everything you said is a contradiction.
Well, could you give me an example?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Oh, the club shooting, we're all scared to go out. How many shootings are there in America? Are you serious? One shooting in the club.
You think radical Islam's been responsible for only one shooting?
Radical Islam is not Islam. Get it right. You might read books, but you know nothing.
I would have to agree with her. I would have to agree. Just having some Muslim friends and... radical Islam, to me, Islam is different than just the Muslim faith.
Well, I know we're supposed to say that. I know journalists say it. I know politicians say it. I just don't think it's true. The people that I know in my life who describe themselves as Muslim who are unobjectionable, don't pray, eat pork, drink, gamble. I mean, how good Muslims are they?
But I know a lot of Muslims that do go to mosque and
5 times a day.
No, I don't know.
They don't really
anyone
live in
that
the
does
West.
that.
The people who do that and live in the West blow things up.
Sorry, Mel?
Islam is praying. You're saying radical Islam is praying and not drinking, blah, blah. The guy that did the shooting didn't pray. He drank and he went out all the time. So that's not Islam.
Well, the guy who did the shooting went to a mosque in the north of Orlando. He was radicalized by a preacher who was welcomed to that mosque regularly for years, who had previously said that the kind thing to do, the compassionate thing to do, was to murder every homosexual in the United States. He said that was the compassionate thing to do. These are the kinds of preachers that are speaking.
Stop Googling. No, listen, your facts are from Googling, so stop it. Learn. You've got no idea. Everything you said is a contradiction. What did you say? Muhammad, peace be upon him, what did you say? He consummated the marriage at 12. He married Aisha. When did what's it called? When was Mary married to her husband? How long was her husband when Jesus was married?
I think it's very difficult. I think it's very difficult for Muslims very often because the problem is a structural problem with Islam, right? The Quran being the final, perfect, and unalterable word of God, combined with the Hadith and the Sunnah, there's not much room for adaptation. Now, Christianity has proven itself remarkably flexible. It's adapted very well to capitalism, for instance. In fact, the rise of capitalism would have been impossible without the Protestant work ethic. Christianity and capitalism have gone hand in hand in the West. Islam, on the other hand, is having a problem adapting to modernity, and you can see that in Muslim communities in the West. These appalling, familial rape gangs in Rotherham in the UK. The extraordinary, the social attitudes of Muslims
Isn't this just some dumb people that are evil inside that are brainwashed at home by their own society or their own.
Well, they're
community.
brainwashed into that belief system, and look.
But that's not everyone. Like most of my friends are Muslim, and
most of your friends are Muslim.
Most of my friends.
Most of your friends are Muslim.
Correct.
Okay.
But they don't practice. Yeah, we drink, we party,
if they don't
we rage
practice,
around.
then they're not really part of the problem. I'm talking about people who actually believe and who practice. And out of the people who believe and who practice, the people who are not actively committing this stuff are turning a blind eye to it. And you don't have to believe me. Listen to them. Listen to the surveys that are done, for instance, in the UK by Channel 4, which is a left-wing broadcaster, about the social attitudes of Muslims living in Britain. I think every it's 50% of them think homosexuality is completely unacceptable. 40% of them want homosexuality against the law. 25% of them believe in polygamy. 20-something% of them want Sharia law, in which, of course, a woman's testimony is worth half that of a man's in certain circumstances in Sharia courts. I mean, these are horrifying.
But we're dealing with
social
thousands of
attitudes.
years of
But
belief.
that's exactly my point. Other religions have proven themselves more adaptable to changing, to the Enlightenment for a start, but also to changing social attitudes. We now don't have the sorts of horrifyingly regressive medieval attitudes to women that much of the Muslim world does. I mean, this is not radical Islam. This is mainstream Muslim society in which women are forced to cover their hair and bodies, and all is visible is a slit. And progressives,
a lot of them want to do it.
Oh,
a lot of them
give
want to do
me
it.
a break.
Some don't. Some don't mind it.
It's laughable. You hear these liberals do this. The USA Today, of all places, USA Today said, "Oh, the hijab is a symbol of feminism." Give me a break. These women are brainwashed into a religion that subjugates them, and I feel very, very sorry for them, and I hope they break free of it.
Quick change of pace.
Quick
change of pace. Matt Lauer today, NBC, the Today Show host in America.
Yes.
Been fired instantly this morning.
Delicious, isn't it?
Did you did an interview with him, right?
I haven't done Matt Lauer, but it doesn't surprise me about these guys. I've met enough of them to know. I myself, I won't name the guy on air, but you can go to my site, dangerous.com, and I just today wrote a story about my own experiences with this, and it's the subject of my next book.
With someone of notoriety.
Yeah, very, very prominent, influential journalist in London,
yep.
Who sexually harassed me for half a decade, dangling, career promises and money and all the rest of it, whilst trying to get me to do stuff and giving me,
trying to get you to do sexual things?
He tried and failed, and then when eventually I said, this is not going to happen, he spent the next 5 years trying to destroy my career. Classic Weinstein behavior. I mean, my next book is despicable. It's about Hollywood and the media.
Right.
And these sorts of behaviors, very, very powerful, in many cases, highly hypocritical men who will lecture the rest of us, who tell us how we should live, who boss us around, who scold us for sexist language. Meanwhile, they're whipping their bits out in the dressing room and telling young producers to get down on their knees. These people are hypocrites and abusers of the highest order.
Are there a lot more to come, do you think?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we haven't even seen the start of it. The woman, interestingly, and this is a shame, by the way, the woman on male stuff has become sort of politicized, which is a shame, because I don't think this is a political thing. But whenever, there's this sort of sexual assault stuff with women, people start lining up on partisan lines, which I think is stupid and a shame. But that's nothing compared to what's coming with, Hollywood rings of, what child actors are forced to go through. I mean, let's not be any more explicit than that.